Your father knows about saving money. Everything I'm wearing,
I've had since boot camp.
And I just saved on my car insurance for driving safe with USAA.
You are listening to This Week in Clown World with Ben and Hobbs, so sit back, relax, take your black pill, and enjoy the show.
Ben and Hobbs. I'm Hobbs. He's Ben. You're in Clown World. Boy, has there been an awful lot to talk about. So let's get into it. Ben, my friend, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. Let's hit the shutdown first.
Yes, because that is a big stinking deal.
Yeah, just a little bit. It seems weird how the Democrats, when the Republicans were the one shutting down the government when they were in power, they got the blame for it. But now somehow that the shoe's on the other foot, they're still getting the blame for it.
Well, it's because they're in power, and that's the line that I keep hearing from everywhere in the media. Where the government can't be shut down. Government shutdown can't be the Democrats' fault because the Republicans are in control of the presidency, the House, and the Senate. So how can it be the Democrats' fault? Well, it's the Democrats' fault because in order to pass a continuing resolution, you need 60 votes in the Senate, and there are only currently, I think, 52 Republican senators, which means that about 8 Democrat senators would have to break ranks to pass the CR, and they won't. So that's how it's the Democrats' fault.
And it seems kind of funny. They're the big government party, and they were going to go and let the government get shut down. It seems like something you wouldn't want to fuck around and find out about.
Well, it makes sense on the surface level, but when you realize what they were asking for, it's really just more of the same. They're asking for more government involvement in things that the government has no business being involved in. Top of the list is a massive expenditure for Obamacare COVID subsidies that would boost up subsidized health care, particularly for illegal immigrants.
Mm-hmm.
So, again, it's just more big government.
Well, and then just here a couple hours ago, the Republicans have followed through on their threat to start, laying off government workers.
Yeah, and it was a masterful troll by the shit poster in chief. I don't know if you saw this Truth Social post he put out the other day, but he said that he was uh, going to be enlisting the services of somebody who was one of the authors of Project 2025. And I saw a lot of screeching about that particular. They're like, oh my, we told you that Trump was going to be Project 2025. And it's like, you guys realize he's just fucking with you, right?
Right.
Yeah, but, can't count on them to not screech about everything.
And in other, of them trying to limit his power, I don't know if we want to dovetail off the shutdown with this, but the National Guard is being deployed to various cities now. So it's interesting that that'll keep up during the shutdown process.
Uh, Correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't the National Guard? Well, I mean, they are being pulled up for a federal duty, but isn't the
Mhm.
National Guard payment come from their
It
home
comes out of a
states?
it comes out of a federal bucket when they get activated.
Okay.
So I guess the states are going to eat the bill on that one. Um, but yeah, they're trying to secure military pay. That's the worst part, I think, about the whole shutdown process is that the military has to just kind of fend for themselves until it's over.
Yeah, I did see a stop move order that is unfortunate for a lot of people who are PCSing between various duty stations, where they said that if you're in the process of leaving one duty station and going to another one, then you're supposed to halt in place, even if you'd already shipped your household goods off.
Jeez.
Which, I mean, can you? And they said that it would be like a case by case basis with on post housing as to whether or not you would be able to like continue to live in the house that you were living in, or if they had already signed that billet over for another incoming family or something. I mean, barracks living is one thing, but like if you've got a family, spouse, and kids, man, I mean, they're I don't know about most other military bases. I only ever had one active duty station. I was at Fort Stewart, Georgia, and there was an on post hotel that was for traveling soldiers or family members or whatever. I put my parents up in that when they came to visit me one year, and it always seemed like there was a lot. It was almost never busy. Almost always had vacancies in it. So I imagine if it push comes to shove, if other posts have something like that, then that would be one option for you to temporarily house your family in the on post
Well, I did
motel.
even worse. My dad's last duty assignment, the base he went to, I don't know what was going on, but they had no open housing for 6 months. Temporary housing was full. We lived in a motel for almost 6 months off post.
Damn.
So I'm going to guess that's what these families are going through, and it was not fun.
Was that hopefully that wasn't out of pocket.
I think they gave him a per diem for it or something or another. But yeah, so I'm going to guess a lot of these families are going to get stuck living in hotels, which was fun for the first 2 weeks, but month 6 it got to be a little much. We had a
Yeah.
question down here. What do we think about what are your thoughts on National Guard being deployed by the federal government?
Well, we're kind of talking about that right now.
Yeah, I mean, I don't like it.
Yeah, I don't like it either. And I've been trying to formulate my thought process on this, because as it stands right now, our inner city police departments are understaffed, underfunded, undertrained. They can't be everywhere at once. Federal law enforcement faces a lot of the same problems that state and local law enforcement faces, with the added hardship of the fact that they have federal jurisdiction and they can't pour all of their eggs into one city basket, right?
Mhm.
So on the one hand, things like utilizing the National Guard to guard federal facilities like ICE detention facilities or courthouses or other things, it really rubs afoul of Reconstruction era laws like posse comitatus, where where military assets are not supposed to be used for local law enforcement purposes. And they get around this by saying that they're not engaging in local law enforcement practices. They are engaging in facility security, which feels a little squishy to me.
Mhm.
But then I got to thinking about it. It's like, okay, so these things like posse comitatus that keeps our military from being used in police roles, and all of these other kind of libertarian minded uh, pieces of legislation, or the rules and restrictions that we have on the government involving itself in local life. These are they're principled positions of a free society, but they're also privileges reserved for a society that knows how to behave itself. And what I mean by behave itself, before the libertarians and the ANCAPs come and try to cut my head off, what I mean by behave itself, I do not mean just obeys every dictate of the government. What I mean by that is that a society that does not know how to not infringe on the individual rights and liberties of their fellow citizens, as well as a society whose governing bodies are failing in their responsibilities to protect its citizenry and fulfill the duties that we elect them to fulfill. That's what I mean by a society that behaves itself. And currently we have large metropolitan areas spread out all across this country who are intent on misbehaving.
Mhm.
Does that make any sense, or do I need to put
Yeah,
more
and
thought into this?
the way they're saying it is for to protect federal property. I mean, it's kind of, I don't know, it's kind of a borderline argument on it. It's because that's property that all of us own through, we've all paid for with taxes. Why should we let some ding dongs in Chicago burn it down? Then we got to pay to build another one.
Right.
Or ding dongs in Portland go out there and burn down a bunch of federal facilities, and then we got to pay to build another one. But the thing is, we're under no obligation to put federal facilities in those cities. Just pull them out.
Yeah. Like, and that sounds tempting, but at the same time, those are American citizens, and we have our system set up so that government is supposed to be as local and unobtrusive as it possibly can be. And in the event that an American citizen is not being served by its local government, then you need to take it up a step. And then if that fails, you need to take it up another step until it gets to the maximum of the federal government, at which point you're doing things like calling in the National Guard for things like riot control. It's I don't want to use the word social compact, but
Right.
social, yeah.
Uh, I'd say if these cities are that much against it, they're making money off these government facilities. They pay to be there. The employees are bringing in money to the local economy. If they
Hmm.
think it's that big an issue, I just say just move them.
Yeah, I think that having ICE detention facilities inside of these cities is probably not the wise move.
No,
But I think that,
put them in the suburb. I mean, haul them out to the suburbs. I'm sure there's some suburbs around Chicago that would be more than happy to host an ICE facility.
well, yeah, but I mean, even then, you've got people that probably would not want that type of hoodoo brought down on their neighborhoods. But when you when you think about suburbs, you think about yuppie middle-class white people that probably vote Democrat because they've been shielded from the consequences of their own voting patterns. So maybe this is exactly the spoonful of medicine they need.
I don't know. It seems like those groups don't like to travel much. So if they have to take more than one bus interconnection, they probably won't show up to protest.
Unless it's being paid for, which is another aspect of the news that's kind of that we kind of missed out on reporting on last week, is the fact that the Trump administration has declared Antifa a domestic terror organization. And then a couple of days ago, during an Antifa roundtable in the White House with some of the more alternative media luminaries like Nick Sorter and Andy Ngo and a few other people, he turned to Marco Rubio when somebody suggested that he designate them an international terrorist organization. He turns to Marco Rubio and he's like, "Can we do that? Have we not done that yet? Can that be done? Okay, Marco's got it." So now, it looks like we're designating them an international terrorist organization because they are.
Well, and it seems like since we've shut down all these NGOs, the funding for Antifa doesn't appear to be there as much.
Yeah, it does. There was a woman on Harrison Smith's InfoWars show. He actually got moved from the 8 a.m. time slot to the 3 p.m. time slot. He's hosting War Room now at 3 p.m. Central Time. You guys should go watch because he's been doing the Lord's work over there. But he had a guest on him, Karen Brovslavsky or something like that. And she was going over how a lot of the focus of media and the online internet right and everybody else focuses on big time donors like George and Alexander Soros and all of these recognizable names, but the overwhelming majority of Antifa's funding and support network is through loosely affiliated mutual aid societies, and that's done on purpose so that they can not leave a conspicuous paper trail to the big fish donors. The George and Alexander Soros types, they will launder any aid that they have through this like Byzantine network of transacting accounts and just all sorts of crap. But as far as the majority of where Antifa gets its money and materiel from, it's from normal everyday, like little $5 here or a gas mask there, just mutual aid donations, which makes things very difficult for an administration to take care of.
Well, yeah, and we talked about that a couple of weeks ago too, that Antifa doesn't really have a organizational structure to truly consider them a terrorist organization that would be easy to take down.
Right, they don't have a leadership. It's almost like they're hive minds, like an insect colony or something. It's really weird how they work. They always seem to be on the same page, and there doesn't ever seem to be any order giver or thought leader or somebody you could point to and be like, that's the guy who called for the flash mob to appear outside of facility XYZ. It seems really, really weird how they operate.
Well, and anybody who's spent any time, obviously Antifa is a lot of leftists and Reddit's full of leftists. It seems like the people attracted to that sort of thing just have a hive mind mentality. I mean, everybody on Reddit is kind of saying the same stupid crap, even though they're not. You get what I'm saying? Yeah. It's like that type of person attracted to the leftist, propaganda and theories is just kind of a hive mind thinking person.
Yeah, it's groupthink and it's codependence. They all know which direction that they have to go in because they, at their core, cannot live without a societal shell in which to ensconce themselves.
The Reddit type behavior that the Zoomers have started to notice among millennials, that's your typical Antifa. I think there was a great photo they had a picture of all the people arrested, and when Antifa they arrested like 24 of them in Portland. Did you see that collage of the
Collage.
booking photo? It's exactly what you think it would be.
It is bio-Leninism in action. It
Not
yeah,
a square jawline to be found.
yeah. Some of these people are the the thing is that these people these do things to themselves to ugly themselves up because it seems that dysgenics is a uniform. It's a way to spot one of your own in the crowd. The rainbow hair, the septum piercing, the weird tattoos that don't like flow into each other or have any type of meaning. They're just like random shit all over your body. The facial yeah, like not an attractive person among the lot. And out of all of the people on there, I can see like maybe one or two that would be attractive if they put some effort into
I mean,
themselves.
getting into with physiognomy, I mean, there's definitely
Yeah,
a physiognomy going on here.
it is definitely not a pseudoscience.
Yeah, I mean they have the ways they pick each other out. The hair, I'm sure there were probably all those guys had a mask on.
Again, yeah, it's a uniform.
Mm-hmm.
The COVID mask became a uniform. It's like the little red swastika armbands that members of the party used to wear. It's how you could pick each other out in the crowd.
A lot comment on that was, I bet that all their moms took a lot of Tylenol. But yeah, so that terrorist organization, we'll see what that does for it. I don't know what that means. Do you?
I'd say that as far as being able to like round people up and throw them in jail, I'd say that it's probably going to be one of those case by case, caught in the act type of thing. You know, the days of going out in black bloc and throwing a rock at a police line and then disappearing into the crowd and then just being like, "Oh shucks, they're out of sight." Those days are probably over, but the majority effect I think that it's going to have is that it just opens up a lot of new tools that the government has at its disposal for things like terrorist organizations, and we can thank the Patriot Act for those tools existing for good or for ill. Mostly for ill, but for this one, cleaning up our own streets, maybe it'll be good. But I have seen some people make the counter argument that all it will take is a Democrat administration turning around and saying, you know, they're saying that Antifa it's not an organization, it's an idea or an ideal. So it would take something a Democrat administration to turn around and say, okay, white supremacy is a terrorist organization. Okay, well, what's white supremacy? Oh, it's anything we fucking say it is. That's what it is. And then using it to do things like, I don't know, kick my door down because I say things on this podcast that they deem as white supremacy when all I'm doing is just citing FBI Table 42, for example, or telling people about per capita.
Just noticing in general.
Yes, general noticing is white supremacy now.
Yeah, so we'll see how that. I mean, the upcoming. I guess we'll probably be talking about it next Sunday. Is they have the day of protest coming up,
and that's one of the reasons that I heard that old Chuck Schumer is encouraging everybody in the Senate to hold the line. They've got a No Kings protest coming on the 18th, and he wants to use the shutdown as fuel on the fire.
Dovetail it into.
Yep.
They're fighting against King Trump, huh?
Exactly.
I still think it's great that the whole Democrat battle line, everything they're fighting against is still Trump. You know, they're not attacking the Republican platform as a whole. It's still Trump is the target.
Yeah.
So that's great for the GOP come next election.
Yeah, if they don't get their shit together and start doing some of the things that people put them into office for, we might not have control of the House and maybe even the Senate come 2026, though.
Hmm.
And that's what people are really trying to get on Mike Johnson to kind of get his shit together and actually kind of solidify some of these things into legislation.
Hmm.
Yeah, Marjorie Taylor Greene is probably the most vocal member of Congress right now against the sluggishness of the House. Uh, love her or hate her, she doesn't take APAC money.
Right. One of what, 6?
Yeah, something like that.
I don't know. I saw a graphic today. It was for the House. It was parties of the House, and it was like 324 APAC, 30. Was the primary party of the House.
Yeah. Democrats or Republican, no matter who you vote for, you always get Benjamin Netanyahu.
Let's go ahead and hop into that. Apparently, Trump has peace in the Middle East.
Yeah, I made a meme last night. It came to me before I jumped in the shower. I don't know if you can pull it up or not, but it was a Venn diagram of 2 circles, and in one circle it said New York City investment real estate development, and the other one it said peace in the Gaza Strip, and in the overlap in the middle it said haggling with Jews over land deals. So it's no wonder that Trump is the only one who could pull off Middle East peace.
Yeah, where did you post that at? Was it on our X?
No, I posted it in the Signal group chat, but it's okay. Don't worry about
Yeah.
it.
No, I sent that out to a couple people because same difference.
Yeah, yeah, and that's why Trump was the man to get it done.
And so the main terms of it are Israel is already pulled back, right?
Mm-hmm.
So now we're just waiting for Palestine to release bodies.
Yep, any living hostages and any remains that they may have in their possession. And it's we make jokes about it. It is a serious thing, though. But after the announcement, Trump put it out on Truth Social. After the announcement, it's really one of the more surreal things to see Israeli citizens and Palestinian citizens out in the street chanting our president's name, because they're both. And I imagine that IDF soldiers that are having to take fire and Hamas soldiers that are having to take fire are also grateful for this. But to see 2 citizen groups of 2 nations or whatever that ostensibly hate each other, unified in celebration, chanting our president's name in the street is something else.
Well, and I mean, I don't know what I'd like to. Have you seen any more details on this? I mean, what's going to happen? That area is leveled.
Yeah.
Okay. Israel's pulling out. Palestinians go back in and live in what, a pile of rubble arranged in a cave.
Nope. This is where things get really juicy, because part of the deal is going to be pulling in billions of dollars of Gulf state infrastructure investment. You've got the Saudis, the Turks, the Omanis, the Qataris, the Jordanians. I think the Lebanese are going to get in on it too. I could be wrong on that, so don't quote me on it. But you've got all of these Middle Eastern countries that surround Israel and Palestine are going to be pouring money to make a modern city where Gaza used to be. And that is part of the plan to keep the peace, because the Palestinians are not going to attack Israel because their new free city is going to get leveled if they do. And the Israelis are not going to attack Palestine because they will essentially be blowing up billions of dollars of their neighbors' investments.
If there's anything like the Qataris and the Kuwaitis and the Saudis can do, is build a modern city.
Yeah,
I mean,
and Gaza
it's
is
prime real estate.
yeah, exactly. Gaza is beautiful Mediterranean beachfront property. The weather there is fantastic, and it's not like there's any other resources there for them to exploit. Except, I mean, there's an oil deposit offshore, which maybe that will be a revenue stream for the Palestinians once they get their shit together.
Mhm.
And the way that this is going to be is that part of the deal is that any Hamas fighters that wish to leave the area, for fear of retribution, they turn in their weapons and they will be given safe passage out to wherever it is they want to go. Hopefully, they don't come to my neighborhood.
It was interesting that one of the main drivers of this, according to Trump, was the Qatari government. I mean, they just
Mhm.
kind of don't hear a lot about them. They're one of those typical. I guess they're monarchies,
Yeah.
typical Middle East monarchies. The guy really likes Trump. Obviously, he gave him a golden jumbo jet. Uh, so, and that guy kind of spearheaded the whole situation, I guess.
Yeah, apparently the three main drivers of this was Qatar, Turkey, and Egypt were the three main negotiators of this. Um, and you could say, you put self interest for any of them in there. Qatar, because they're really, and I want to talk about Qatar here in a minute, but Turkey kind of sees itself as the unifying body of all Islam. I think
I
Erdogan
mean, they're
sees
kind of a
himself.
crossroads between
Yeah,
Europe and Persia. So,
yeah, they were the seat of the last caliphate, and I think they have grand ambitions of being the seat of the next caliphate as well. But that might be a few years down the line before we have to deal with them. And Egypt, of course, it's right there. They share a
mhm.
border with Israel and Palestine, so they've got they got skin in
a
that
little
game.
little bit of history with Israel.
Yeah. So it makes sense from all aspects about why those three countries would be interested in this deal. And now, as far as Qatar goes, in the last few months, there has been a kind of a hate campaign against Qatar. Even before they gave Trump the
A hate
Air Force
campaign
One jet,
from fellow Arabs or from the West?
mainly from Israel shills
Oh,
online.
okay.
And you might not have noticed this if you're not terminally online or listening to some of the more dissident right media, but there was, even before Qatar gave uh, gave Trump the jet, when it seemed like a lot of people were starting to notice and bring light to how much influence Israel has in our government, and were trying to point that out, they tried to flip it on its head and be like, well, here's the money that Qatar uses to lobby in our country. What have you got to say about Qatar? They give, X million dollars to Harvard and X million dollars to Yale, and they built a wing out at MIT, and it's like all of these instances. And when you look at it, yeah, it's weird how much money Qatar spends on the United States. They actually do outpace
And
Israel's
Trump
spending.
and Trump is fairly. I mean, he's fairly in bed with Qatar. I mean, he's got a golf course there. I think he's got a hotel, maybe.
Right, but this was even before the Trump administration.
Okay.
Qatar spends a lot of money in our university system. They spend a lot of money lobbying our government for various things. They do a lot in our country. They spend more money, just raw dollars, than the United States government, or than the Israeli government does in our country. Which you could easily turn around and be like, well, yes, they spend more money than Israel, but money alone isn't the indicator of how much pull they have. Israel says jump and our government says how high.
Mhm.
Qatar just spends money in the United States because Qatar has more money than they know what to do with, and
Mhm.
we're the big dog, and why not make friends? So they gave Trump the new Air Force One jet, or that he's using right now for the Air Force One jet, and yesterday they signed a deal for an Air Force training facility in Idaho for Qatari fighter pilots to learn how to fly
Oh,
F-15s.
that put people on both sides. It put people in a frenzy.
Yes, and it's really weird how you had this, just so we get the timeline. People start pointing out Israel's influence. The Israel shills turn it on its head and say, "What about Qatari influence?" Which then glides into Qatar starts overtly doing favors for us by like giving us a new Air Force, state of the art Air Force One jet, and now we're turning around and turning to them for negotiating the ceasefire between Palestine and Israel. They were the host for the Hamas leadership during the initial stages of these negotiations, which Israel then bombed in Qatar.
Mm-hmm.
Trump then turned around and says, "Hey, cut the shit. Qatar is our friend, and if you fuck with Qatar, you're fucking with us."
Qatar has a history of being chill dudes, though. Just going to say that they've always been some sort of protectorate of another empire. They haven't been shit starters.
Yep.
They have a history of being a good ally,
And that's where
as
I'm getting.
opposed to our greatest ally.
That's what I'm getting
Oh,
to
I'm
right now.
sorry. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So the biggest base that the U.S. military has in the Middle East is actually in Qatar. It's
Mhm.
Al Udeid Air Base.
Which I've heard
I
is very
list.
nice.
It is. It's very nice. I knew some people who went there for their 2 week R&R on my deployments. Instead of like going all the way home, they went to Doha and they went to Al Udeid. They're like, holy shit. But that's neither here nor there. I listened to Harrison and Lebanon John on Moonbase a couple of nights ago, and John had a very interesting theory that just kind of came to him in the middle of the stream. What if Trump is sick and tired of Israel's shit and is shifting to a more reliable ally in the Middle East? Because that has always been the strategic excuse for why we're always on Israel's side. Well, they're a democracy in the Middle East and they're the most solid ally that we have, and we need an ally in the Middle East, and blah 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 blah. Despite all of the shady shit that they do, they're the only ally we. Well, what if they're not the only ally that we have in the Middle East? What
Mhm.
if there is another?
Well, and Saudi Arabia has kind of been angling for that role for a long time. They were angling for a long time. I think they kind of soured that when a bunch of Saudi Arabian citizens decided to fly into a couple buildings. And Saudi Arabia, I think they think their pants are big enough that they could get along without us.
Yes, they lead OPEC. They are the sultans at whose feet the other oil countries bow.
Mm-hmm.
Qatar, on the other hand, very small. However, they're one of the richest per capita countries in the world. I think Kuwait might be above them, but if so, it ain't by much.
Right.
Like you said, they're chill dudes.
Yeah.
They don't they they don't start shit. They love spending money, and our biggest base is in their territory, and they seem cool with that.
Yeah. And, people were saying, I mean, back to the military base thing. They were, and I found out by talking to people, a lot of people don't even realize how much training we do with foreign countries. I brought up, and I don't know how it happened, but the South Dakota National Guard's training partner was Suriname. They would host They would host Suriname troops in South Dakota, and South Dakotans would go to Suriname. And apparently, all sorts of states have training buddies all over the world, who's like their sister country they train with.
You
So
know, and
on
if
the
you,
face, well, go ahead.
I was gonna say, if you asked me what continent Suriname was on, I don't think I'd be able to tell you. Is it
I
South
never,
America? Is it Africa? I don't fucking know.
I
Hell,
never did any training with those guys, but I'd seen them on the base before. Everybody loved them. They loved America. I mean, that's probably the training buddies we should be seeking out. You know, I
yeah.
brought this up. Let's ditch Europe. Let's move to. We're going to start moving to South America for training buddies. Qatar, sure, Suriname. These little countries that want to be our friend, bring them in. I'm sick of these piece of shit allies who just see us as a piggy bank.
Well, I'm sure that these other countries see us as a piggy bank
I
too,
don't
but
think Qatar sees us as a piggy. I don't think they give a shit.
touche.
That's why I think this facility that they're building, I'm going to guess it's a huge revenue stream.
Yeah, and even if it's not, I mean, it can be used for other things. I see
Actually,
people saying that,
somebody commented over here. Was it on Rumble or YouTube? I think it was on YouTube. They think there's another Asian nation who's going to be doing the same thing on that airbase. Okay, yeah,
yeah, it's people say it's a Qatari base on U.S. soil. No, it's a U.S. base that is used to host Qataris training.
yeah.
And when they're not training, we could host other countries' fighter pilots that are cool with us too.
I mean, training. Granted, training Muslim pilots has not turned out well for us.
Again, touche.
But I I think it's on the whole. I think it's a good way to strengthen bonds with allies and make some money.
Yeah, and who knows, they might be the Middle East ally that we've always dreamed of.
It could, yeah. I mean, we should still have. I think our best Middle East ally we ever could have had was probably Iran. Before we fucked all that up.
The Kurds seem willing to give us a more chances than we deserve.
We fucked
But
over the Kurds so many times. I just don't trust them at this point.
yeah,
I love the guys, but they have got to be sick of our shit. And
yeah,
I would look for them to just leave us to burn out of vengeance, and we would deserve it.
yeah. That and some of them. There's one of the main political parties over there is just out and out communist. I think it's
The
the
Kurd
YP.
ones.
Yeah, I think it's the YPK. It's either the YPK or the PKK. One of them, their symbol is like it's like a yellow flag with a big red star in the middle. It's like YPK on the
Mm-hmm.
I think it's YPK. Whatever. It's
I
neither here
mean,
nor there, but they are communists.
the Kurds are the original Caucasians, aren't they? Aren't they from the Caucasus region?
Maybe.
Yeah.
I will say though, I don't know if I've told this story on here or elsewhere, or maybe I have, but it's been several years. But we did convoys through Kurdistan several times on my third deployment. We would go through Mosul, and then we'd travel up to a place on the Turkish border. Habur Gate was the town on the Turkish border, and you would get to the demarcation zone where this side is Iraq and that side is Kurdistan,
Mm-hmm.
and it was night and day. Like, you would pull up on the checkpoint, and there would be your Peshmerga guarding the checkpoint, and you would roll through, and then suddenly the roads wouldn't have potholes in them, and the buildings wouldn't have bullet holes in them, and the buildings looked like something you would see in Western Europe except everything was in Arabic instead of English, and everything was brown instead of gray.
It's like
Because
on
of the
this side
building
of the state
materials.
when I'm driving along the highway and I transition from Nebraska to Colorado.
Yeah, and it was seriously like checkpoint. You're in Kurdistan now. Everything is nice. The women are walking around without burqas on, and they'd wave to you, and you'd wave back at them, and smiles and everything, and you'd get to where you were going at Habur Gate, and it was just like a nice Western style town full of just regular people.
Hmm.
And yeah, it was yeah. So the Kurds, I wish them all the best. I mean, I'm not too thrilled about the communism thing, but other than other than that, you guys don't deserve what's happened to you.
I found some other stuff here about back to that base. I guess German Air Force has a tactical training command in Texas.
Yeah.
More than 1,000 Singapore military troops train in the U.S. each year. Pilots from several other NATO allies also train in the U.S. Um, I mean,
We
I'd
do a lot of
say,
stuff with South American countries too. Canadians come down to train at Fort Drum for Arctic warfare, which sounds weird and stupid, but that it is what it is. Yeah, we do a lot of foreign training here, so
yeah, I mean, Trump is kind of trying to overturn the power. I mean, he's allying up with Finland.
mhm.
Um, that's a great one. For the you'd think the people that absolutely hate Russia would be all for the Finland alliance, but they can't but shit on anything.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy in they were saying, oh, he's just making this deal Finland because the guy beat him at golf.
What?
Good on the Finland prime minister that he knew the way to break the ice with Trump was to go to a golf course. That's the first thing the guy did when he met Trump. They went out and golfed.
Yeah, that's how Trump conducts his business.
And
You
so
know.
now the guy's selling the United States a bunch of icebreakers made in Finland, but they're also buying some ships.
Yeah, awesome. Great.
And then somebody was like, "Oh, of course, Trump would ally with the former Nazi country."
Do you idiots not
Yeah.
realize that we're literally allied with Germany? Have been since 1948? Like,
and and Finland was only Nazis because they hated the Russians that much.
oh man. Yeah. So Forgotten Weapons. If any of you guys have watched Forgotten Weapons on YouTube, he recently did a two-part biography of a Finnish soldier named Lauri Turni, who he fought in the Finnish military against the Russians in the Winter War. And then when that was over, he still wanted to keep fighting the communists. So he joined the Waffen SS, fought the communists, and then when World War II was over, he got back into Finland, got arrested because he was a member of the Waffen SS, but for one reason or another, he got, let out of prison. He emigrated to the United States, changed his name to Larry Thorne, and he was one of the founding members of the Green Berets. He died in Vietnam at age 43, kicking ass, taking names, and still fighting
God, I was
communists.
hoping you were going to say like 80 or 90, he ended up in Rhodesia or something fighting communists, but that works just as well.
Yeah, he died in Vietnam, still fighting the communists. And to this day, he is. Well, I mean, I'm not going to say to this day because it's not like there's going to be one ever. But he is the only member of the only member of the SS to be buried in Arlington National Cemetery.
I mean, he wasn't joining them on any of their ideologies. He just liked
Oh
killing
no,
commies. So great.
yeah, but
Better
it
better than the
it
guy that they gave the medal to in the Canadian Parliament or wherever the hell that was. Or
yeah, he didn't sign up because he agreed with them ideologically. He signed up with them because he just wanted to kill communists, and that was the only option he had at the time.
so yeah, great. Trump is pulled in Finland. I think Finland has avoided a lot of the immigration nonsense that some of the Nordic countries have went through.
They have. They're a member of NATO now, which is unfortunate for them because NATO is a shit-covered stick. But funny enough, Russia actually did send a bunch of third world immigrants across their border as a biological weapon.
Into Finland.
Yeah. Which, if it's good for the goose, it's good for the gander. I thought diversity was our strength, right?
Yeah, I wonder how they ended up. I wonder how that turned out for them in Finland.
I think they got deported rather quickly.
And other, we're kind of talking a little bit about Russia. There was a study done, I think it came out a couple of days ago, that analyzed all the money that NATO has spent buying oil from Russia and weighed it against the amount they've given to Ukraine. And I think it was like 187 billion has been given to Ukraine and 225 billion has been spent on Russian gas.
I bet you guys wish you had kept those nuclear reactors around now, haven't you?
Well, ironically, France was one of the biggest purchasers of Russian oil.
And they're the biggest users of nuclear energy. They're basically keeping the lights on for most of Europe.
So I don't know if that's some sort of pass-through going through in France. France is playing both sides here. But, I mean, that just goes to show how this whole thing is bullshit. If they really were against Russia, they wouldn't be buying any. And their excuse was, oh, well, we have contracts with Russia. Break them. What's Russia going to do?
You're sitting here going, war, 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 war. But the contracts, though. But war.
It makes no sense.
That is just such a fucking European attitude.
Yeah.
No, my contracts. We're at war, but we have contracts. Fuck you, man.
So what a waste of money.
Yeah.
Anything we've dumped into Ukraine has obviously been a waste when Europe's playing both sides and giving Russia $225 billion. Which, that's a drop in the bucket for us. Russia's economy is not like ours. That probably has helped them out quite a bit.
Yeah. Yep. They've got, their population's only half the size of ours anyways.
Yeah.
And it's a third the size of the EU, or maybe even a quarter the size of the EU's population. But this whole Ukraine shit at this point is just a money laundering scheme. Who's being laundered what? I don't know. I'm not an accountant.
Yeah, and you know what? When Trump got in, they're like, they've got to keep all this money going to Ukraine or they're going to get steamrolled as soon as it cuts off. That money's it hasn't been cut off. It's been cut down for what? Over a year now?
Yeah.
And no difference in the war.
Yeah.
So where was the money going before? Laundering.
And it's like, we got to keep sending the money. And it's like, what are you guys like pasting stacks of dollar bills to the side of your vehicles for armor?
Yeah.
Money, just money doesn't do anything in a war by itself. It buys weapons, it pays troops, but
they're not using it to build factories, I assume, because those would just get blown up.
Yeah, and that now that you kind of brought it up, the logistics of everything, maybe that's the reason why Russia hasn't just fucking ended this thing. They easily could. We know they easily could, but they haven't yet. Maybe that's the reason. It's artificially keeping the price of their oil high.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe they want to drag this out for as long as they can to artificially inflate their oil.
Yeah, and the that same paper stated that most of these contracts aren't set to expire until 2027. So I guess just keep giving Russia money. I guess that's when the war stops in 2027, maybe.
You know what? If it does, I would say that's more than a coincidence.
Oh, we forgot to talk about, we were talking about allies of the United States doing good things. Japan.
Oh, yeah.
We're getting towards the end of the show here. We need to hit on Japan.
Yeah, so I've already forgotten her name, unfortunately, because it's a foreign name and I can't be expected to remember and pronounce things correctly, but I guess all it took was about 3 months of living with sub-Saharan Africans and Indians for Japan to say, nope, 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 the GDP ain't worth this. Nope. And they elected a far right first
First
female
female. Yeah.
64-year-old woman who's into tuning cars and was a heavy metal drummer in her youth. So based.
Yeah.
Uh, she was an acolyte of Shinzo Abe, and apparently she got in a little bit of a. I'm not going to say she got into trouble, but there were people in Western media who were very upsetty because she once wrote a blog post critiquing a book about Hitler's campaign strategy, about like why he came to power the way that he did. And so they were like, "Oh,
Oh no, you
she's
can't talk
endorsing,
about that.
yeah, she's endorsing Hitler. Oh my God!" It's like, no, she wasn't. She just read a book about how he did what he did to come to power, and was like, "Huh, this is interesting. Maybe you guys should read this."
Well, God forbid she listens to any of his recently translated speeches.
Don't do that. Don't do that, guys. Disavow.
Yeah, I guess the government completely collapsed. They'd been in power for the last quarter century, and the people decided that was enough. Do you really think it was Indians that did?
Well, there was something that I was reading a few months ago. How shit? How was it worded? It was something like there were cities around Japan that were partaking in some kind of a government program to become sister cities to various nations. I'm not. These connections are not the real ones, but everybody knows these names. So it's like Kyoto was the sister city to Nigeria, like one city to a whole nation.
Mhm.
And the idea was that Japan would allow immigrants from these varying nations to come to Japan, but rather than just allowing them to spread out, they would be kind of contained into these sister cities, um, which to me sounds an awful lot like making an ethnic enclave or a colony, allowing Japan to be colonized by these third world countries. I mean, you almost want your immigrants to spread out so they assimilate
Mhm.
rather than to create these ethnic enclaves. But this was, Japan's a very like top down managerial society, and they figured that this was going to be the easiest way to get people in. Well, people saw that and they were like, fuck no, no, we're not doing that. And they brought in some Indians, they brought in some Kurds, they brought in some Africans, and everywhere these people went, they formed these ethnic enclaves and trashed the place.
Yeah, I would not want to be a foreigner trying to integrate into Japan. Fuck
No,
that.
no, because they're a very proud people, and they deserve to have pride in their country because um,
It's been a continuous culture for
3,000 years.
yeah, prehistory.
Yeah, but the thing about Japan is their culture over there. They value cleanliness, hygiene, order, uh, the cultural homogeneity that they have over there allows you to pull up to your school or your place of work or whatever with your bicycle and just prop it up against the building with the expectation that it will be there at the end of the day. You work an 8-hour shift, you come down, your bike is exactly where you left it. Nobody has touched it, right? That's the cultural expectation that Japan has. When they brought in these numbers of people from these foreign cultures that don't operate that way, suddenly they find that their stuff is getting stolen or their streets have trash in them. And in Japan, litter is like a cultural offense. If you smoke in Japan, they carry around a little fireproof case in their pocket, so that you finish your cigarette, you put your cigarette butt in your little pocket case, and you put it back in your pocket until you get home and you can dump it out in the trash. The thought of throwing a cigarette butt on the ground in Japan, verboten, right?
Hmm.
So when these foreign cultures come in and they start leaving sacks of trash outside of their apartment buildings or something, this would be like the Japanese, like, what the fuck is going on here? And so yeah, it took like 3 months of 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 permanent exposure to outside cultures, not just tourists, but people expected to live in Japan, and it was like, nope, nope, we're not doing this.
Yeah.
Diversity is not our strength.
Well, and I mean, I was looking at the comments on the outgoing Japanese PM here. He said, politics should not be driven by the party's interests if it undermines the national interest. It should not be a means for self-preservation. The stance of learning from history is as crucial as foundation. It requires courage to face the past and integrity to listen humbly to claims of others. He was criticizing, Japan. This is a valid knock against them. They've kind of not really acknowledged what they did. They haven't even apologized to some of the countries around them for shit they pulled in World War II.
Mm-hmm.
Like they've never apologized to South Korea for what they pulled. They deny a lot of the stuff in China. I think those are valid gripes, and there's no reason that country needs to hide behind them. Just own up to them, move on.
Yes, that is true. I mean, just saying, yes, we did that and we're sorry for it is one thing. But at the same time, I think that they see the eternal self flagellation that Germany puts itself through. And as a offshoot of that, like, all white people are somehow collectively guilty for the sins of the British Empire or Nazi Germany or any of these other things that happened hundreds of years ago, and they see that and they're just like, no, no, we're not going to play that collective guilt game. It's like, yeah, something happened, but whatever.
Yeah, I
And
I just think they need to. I think it's keeping them from moving forward in the region. Just their collectiveness that they don't acknowledge what they did. I mean, we're not going to pay reparation. Americans aren't going to pay reparations, but they'll be like, okay, well, slavery was kind of a shitty thing to do, and I think we've moved on from it for the most part.
still get browbeaten over it.
You still get browbeaten over it, but it's not like we're not even acknowledging that it wasn't a good idea. I mean, some of us might have different reasons for thinking it wasn't a good idea, but but it is what it is.
You turn that boat around right now.
Yeah. You're not getting your cheap pants.
Yep.
We're right up on an hour. Let me see. I think we hit on everything. Trump, peace in the Middle East, shutdown continues, Japan's new government. I think that's everything that went on for the last week that I can think of that we wanted to cover. Next
It's
week,
not everything, but it's a lot.
yeah, next week will be interesting though. I want to see how this No Kings thing. I want to see if this is our new BLM thing they want to kick off. It's such a stupid. They don't. It doesn't have the backing. I think it's just going to kind of be a stupid thing for some bored, pink-haired white kids to do.
It's astroturfed.
Yeah,
But at the
and
same
just the whole
time,
premise: no kings. In no
Okay.
way is he a king. No kings. Okay, no kings. All right.
yeah, it's like, at the same time, though, if you plan on going to one of these things to maybe document it, or even if you go to partake in it, I don't really see a lot of our listeners wanting to partake in it. But if you do find yourself in or around one of these things,
Leave your phone at home.
well, one, leave your phone at home, but also I would say to keep your head on a swivel. One, because you don't want to suffer any violence at the hands of these idiots that are out there marching in the streets over nothing. But two, I think that this would be a prime opportunity for somebody to fire a bunch of bullets into a crowd and blame the far right. So stay
Was
frosty.
they'll have writings on the shell casings,
Yeah.
I'm sure.
Yeah. White lives matter.
White lives matter. Yeah.
Proud of your boy.
So keep your head on a swivel this week if you're in one of those no king areas. I guess if you happen to swing down there, take a picture of the goofy shit and send it to us on X or something, and we'll see if the physiognomy tracks for what we're noticing.
Yeah, it's probably just going to be a bunch of bored old boomers that think that they're reliving their Woodstock and civil rights era.
I can't stand their
Boring, dude.
hand drawn signs where they don't plot out their wording and it gets smaller towards.
I don't know what bothers me more, the signs like that or the ones that are very clearly and obviously mass manufactured and professionally done that probably cost a lot of money to make in bulk.
Yeah, you've seen the videos of guys, and somebody's like, "What's your sign mean?" And the guy's like, "Oh,
Somebody just handed it to me.
Yeah.
Paid me $20 and handed me this sign and asked me to walk around with it.
So watch for that. Go check out our website, roadsandnumber2liberty.com. Follow us on Rumble, YouTube. Had some of you are on YouTube, quite a few on Rumble. Rumble's a little slow tonight. Must be something going on. Follow us there, R2L Pod at Twatter.
On Twitter.
On Twatter. Jeez, I get that wrong every.
At R2L Pod on Twitter.
And you're getting some engagement over there, I've noticed. That's kicking up. Follow us there. Hobbs posts some memes once in a while on there, shares some stuff. It's a good time.
I have to post my Venn diagram meme over there.
I went over there to grab it and it wasn't there. You should stick it up there. It's pretty good. So
yeah.
Catch our stuff there, and we'll see you next week, and stay honky.